you're new here, my name is Mitchell. In today's Express episode, I will be talking about men who tries to speed up courtship ruins seduction. So I do these YouTube Express lives every Sunday at 5:30 Pacific time, 8:30 Eastern time. And if you guys do find this video content of value, you guys could show your appreciation by hitting the like button, subscribing, and letting some of your friends know, whoever needs help. All right, so let's get started. All right, let's get started on a recap episode. What's up, Bree? You are the first one here. Yes. How you doing, Bree? All right, so the recap episode is lead the relationship and let her pace it. So that's one of those things where it just has to be her idea. And this is the main idea of this whole entire episode, is that it must be her idea. Otherwise, it's never gonna work. Okay, just paying bills. Nice. All right, so if it's her idea, you will never get turned down. If it is her idea, you will never get turned down. When the door opens, all you have to do is just walk through it. That's what most guys need to remember, is that it's not that complicated. But most of the time, majority of the time, is that a lot of guys, they like to rush intimacy. And because when they force intimacy and they try to do things before the woman's ready, it is always never in his favor. All right, it is almost always never in his favor. So door opens, all you have to do is just walk through it. It doesn't have to be that difficult. And a lot of times guys take it a little bit personal, or maybe it's just of what they want. So then it's more of a projection of how they feel about themselves. And a lot of guys, they project their own feelings onto a woman before she's even ready. So which makes it a little bit even more awkward for the girl. It feels like it's pressuring her. Just imagine going on a date, and let's just say the guy had a successful date, and then after the successful date, he's like, well, that's great, I'm also thinking about planning X, Y, and Z for us. It's like the date hasn't even ended yet. She hasn't even gotten time to go back home and think about how the date went and things like that. And now you're trying to force, or, even though you're saying like, it's no pressure, you're already pressuring her. It has to be her idea if you want her to come to you. Now, it's going to be pretty obvious if she likes you, because if you don't, because you won't be confused. That's the main idea. It's like, if she likes you, you're gonna know it. If she doesn't like you, you're gonna also know it too. All you have to do is bottom line a woman's actions, and that is how you're gonna get majority of your information from. It's just bottom lining her actions. So you're going to look for some high levels of enthusiasm. You're looking for someone that's willing to jump fences for you, not stay on the fence. Most men try to force things and project, right? Project their own feelings before she's ready, forcing her to feel like she's being trapped. This will cause her to back away because it is not her idea. And until it becomes her idea, all you have to do is just take a step back and let her wonder about you. But then you're also thinking like, hey, Mitchell, what if she doesn't wonder about me? Well, you already know where she stands with you if she doesn't think about you. So she's probably not into you. And displaying all these unattractive behaviors isn't gonna make her want you, or make her want you more. Women need time and space away from you to think about you. That's how she builds interest. She will think about you. And this goes for even long-term relationships, especially long-term relationships. Because if you think about it like this, the beginning of the courtship and the dating phase, when you guys don't know each other, the guy goes up to the girl, he introduces himself, he shows his interest. He'd be like, hey, I saw you from across the room and I thought you were very pretty, or things like that, whatever, and I just had to come and get to know you. Like, what's your name? Y'all chop it up. Hey, you know what, if you're still in town, or if you're visiting, but if you live around there and you're like, hey, how about next week? Like, are you free sometime next week? I'd love to take you out on a date. Is there anything that you like to eat? Or or if you're even ballsy enough, you can even create an instant date. Just create an instant date. But anyways, regardless, the guy goes up to the girl and he does the initiation. He initiates the pursuit. And then after that, after a few, if everything's done correctly, about somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks, she's gonna start falling head over heels in love with you, if done properly. And if it's not done properly, it might take a little bit longer because, you know, it's a think of it like a scale. It's an attraction scale. The more you do things right, well, guess what? She's gonna be more into you. The more you do things wrong, well, guess what? She's gonna be more repulsed by you. And depending on her level of interest, you have a little bit more wiggle room to make mistakes or not. So assuming that her scale is at a 5, somewhere between 5 and a 6, you're not gonna really have that much room to make a mistake. But if her interest is like at, say, at 7, where most women fall under, it's around a 7, you're gonna have a little bit more room to make a mistake, because she's like, hey, you know what, I might give this guy a chance, even though he said or did something that kind of made me back away a little bit. Right? So let's talk about the meat of the topic. And there's only 2 slides. All right, hence the word express episode. So number 1 is haste makes waste. Okay, the whole idea is to go slightly slower than she does. That way it will always be her idea. That way you won't get rejected, and she will be willing to push the courtship to the next level. Women, especially women that likes you, they tend to be a little bit more aggressive when you're not making moves as fast as she wants you to. Excuse me. And you're also looking for indicators of interest. You're looking for indicators of interest so you can escalate it to the next level. Now, if she's, let's just say, for example, if you're you're on a date and she's interested in you, what she's going to do is that she's going to be walking closer to you. And if somehow, some magical way that her hand bumps into you, or maybe you notice that she's grooming herself more, or, you know, she's constantly fixing her hair whenever you're talking to her, or maybe you just ate something and she went to the ladies' room and you come back and you notice that she puts on her lip gloss or lipstick. It's like she's trying to get your attention. These are little subtle nuances that you could kind of focus on. But then also you want to see her body language, which way she's crossing her arms, which way she's crossing her legs. If she's into you, she will cross her leg closer to you. So, for example, how am I gonna show that? She will cross her leg closer to you if she wants to be closer to you. And these are like little subtle things that she would do, and she won't even notice it most of the time. So, you know, pick up on these cues too as well. So little indicators of interest. And yeah, so like with the hand walking, guess what? When her hand's touching you, hand holding is okay. And then at the end of the date, I think that, and this, you know, this happened to me too. What's up, Crystal? Most guys, they don't go for the kiss. They don't go for the kiss because they're too afraid. And I made this mistake too. It's like, you go on this date, you guys have a good time, and it's like, well, at least you think you had a good time as the guy, and then you don't go for the kiss. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that she backs away. She's like, "Ooh, I don't think I'm ready," or it's something like that. At least you know. But if she's having a good time, she's smiling, she enjoys your presence, why wouldn't she agree on that kiss? So you go for the kiss. But one thing that you can do as a guy is that you could do the kiss test. And I've mentioned this before, and this is something that I've got from my coach Corey Wayne, which is when you're looking at her and she's talking, all you have to do is look at her lips, look back up to her eyes, and back to her lips, slowly. And at any moment, if she's talking to you and she's looking at your lips, all you gotta do is just go for it. Because if she's looking at your lips and you're looking at back her eyes and you notice that she's looking at your lips, that means she's thinking about kissing you. So that's a kiss test, and you guys could use that. All right, so next thing is a woman that doesn't like you. would not put herself in proximity to you. So think about it like this: attraction grows through space. When you go slightly slower than she does, it gives her time to wonder about you, to think about you, to miss you, and to feel your strength. You're unpredictable. Your inaction is what's going to cause her and her interest to go up. That is the number one most important thing, is to back away and let her wonder about you, to feel your mystery, your mysteriousness of how come he hasn't texted me back. Most guys that will ask me out would usually try to call me, will try to text me. But this other guy, guess what he's doing? He's not talking to me right now. I wonder what he's thinking about. I wonder if he's out on a date. I wonder if there's other girls that might be interested in him. Then she might even think like, damn, like if I don't get this guy, some other woman would. You know, it creates mystery. So what you're not trying to do is you're not trying to create this fear into her, but it's kind of like, well, you got your own thing that you got going on, your mission and your purpose, and you're focused on those. And then just about once a week, you just contact her. If she doesn't message you back, all you gotta do is just let her know. So if you went out on a Thursday, what you would do is, if there's zero contact, zero text messages from her, she hasn't said anything to you, or she hasn't said, oh, I would love to see you. If she says that, I'd love to see you again, take that opportunity and set a next date. Otherwise, back away, let her be, let her do her own thing. And if she haven't said anything till Sunday or Monday, then ask her, oh, are you busy this coming week? And then see where it goes from there. And for most women in the West, they would usually sleep with a guy within the second or third date. All right. So let's see. I was talking about how attraction grows through space. You need her to wonder about you, to think about you, to miss you, so that she can feel your strength. And it is your inaction that is also going to cause her to build attraction towards you. So it's a little bit of mystery. So like the whole, why hasn't he texted me? Now, because most of the time, most men, what they would do is they would act unworthy. They would act needy. And it repulses them, because she's already used to guys always trying to blow up her phone, always trying to constantly get her out on a date, especially if it's a woman of beauty. Oh, you could guarantee that most guys are like just bombarding her, but you're just this guy that's kind of like, step back, I'm gonna do my own thing. And it's almost as if you're almost letting her go freely. And you are, because you want her to have a choice so that she could choose you instead of over pursuing and, oh, I need to do something in order so that I don't have to in order to not lose her. So most men, they over pursue and they chase her out of her liking him with the whole calling and texting and always being available and always being there for her. Is like, no, that's very unattractive. And you know, there's nothing wrong with being there for somebody, especially if you're in a relationship, but also you should have some time for yourself too. Okay. Let's see. Now, the most important thing is like, well, think of it in a context like this. How do you expect to lead your own life if you're always available? So that is why you have to create enough time, enough space, enough distance for her to slowly fall in love with you at her pace. And it has to be her idea. That way, it is always her idea. And all you have to do is just walk through the door. All right. So now, slide number 2 is no breakup is mutual. It's usually one-sided. And about 70 to 75% of women are the one that initiates the breakups. And what was this? The statistic goes, I think it was like 40 to 50% of all marriages ends in divorce. Well, if you look at those two statistics, what does it kind of tell you? It kind of tells you that it's usually the woman that initiates the breakups, and that most marriages ends in divorce. So it's a 50-50 chance. So flip a coin kind of thing, right? Now, what you can do is you can always present yourself to your most attractive self in a relationship, because you have to understand that yes, love is important, but love also is a feeling. And if you don't make her feel a certain way towards you, if she doesn't feel safe and comfortable around you, she's not going to want to be around you very, very long, and she will eventually find somebody else. And that is why I've always said that most women, whenever they don't feel heard and understood, and you stop dating and courting her, eventually another man will, meaning that another man will come into her life that is a little bit more competent, if not way more competent than you are, and take her away from you. And you could be mad, you could be upset, but you got nobody else to blame but yourself. Because at one point, my main question to you is, it's like, well, what made you stop putting your best foot forward? That's my main question. It's like most guys, they will never focus on the relationship until it's too late, and by then it's too late. So let's talk about it. No breakup is mutual. It's usually one-sided. Most of the time it's women. So now you're in this relationship and she decides that she doesn't want to be with you anymore. So it's her decision. It's unilateral. She broke up with you. And you're kind of like, well, that's not what I wanted. So now if she wants to come back into your life, now this is where respect comes into play. She has to be the one that comes back to you, and she needs to fix whatever that she unfixed, which is leaving you. It's like, look, I love you, I care about you, and you're telling me that you don't want to work on this relationship anymore. And then you're trying to figure out why, but she decided, I made up my mind, ship has sailed, that is it, no problem. Well, guess what? If you are as good as a guy as you say you are, you listen, you do everything right, well, guess what? She's not going to want to leave you. But for whatever reason she decides to leave you, you have to maintain your own ground. Basically, you have to have some sort of respect for yourself to not try to chase her back, because it's her decision. You got to let her go. So the same way goes as you're trying to pursue her, it has to be her idea. It has to also be her idea to come back. All right, especially if she's the one that initiated the breakup. So your mindset needs to be, well, I'm open for her to convince me to get back with her. So I'm open to that idea, but I'm not going to be that guy that courts her and dates her anymore, because I've tried doing that in the beginning and she decided to break it off. So I'm going to take a step back. She needs to come to me at this point. So meaning that you're not going to go out and date her. You're not going to ask her to go out especially if she's the one that broke up with you. No, you're not going to do any of that. She has to come to you. So what you can, the furthest distance that you're going to do is, or travel, is from where you are in your home to the front door. And she has to come to you. So what you could offer is like, hey, you know what? Why don't you bring a bottle of wine? We can make something. And it's you to make something. It's not you make something for her. She has to convince you back. And you guys have to hook up. You guys, and I'm saying this is your ex, all right? So you guys have to hook up at least 3 times. And then you guys could start going out, and then you could start dating and courting her, because otherwise you're going to be enabling some sort of type of behavior where she feels like she could just leave you at any time. And so, like I said, if it's her idea and she broke up with you, she has to be the one that fixes the problem, all right? So, and it's a form of respect for yourself. You love and value yourself enough so that you're not going to be that guy that chases her and enables that type of behavior. It's like, maybe you could do this to other guys, but you're not going to be doing this to me. All right. So, now the reason why she's breaking up with you is because what she's conveying to you is she thinks she could do better without being with you, or she thinks that she could do better. That's the whole reason. Because a woman that's head over heels in love with you, she is not going to leave you. So if that happens, if she thinks she can do better, and you're like, damn, hey, you know what? That's great. I wish you the best. I wish you the best. You got my number. Let me know. And you never call her back. You never do anything, and that's it. And the whole idea of this, while she's gone, or even if she is in your life, the main thing is that you want to become the greatest version of yourself. You want to become the most attractive self again, to build yourself up so much that you become irresistible. And that's the whole idea. Because women don't dump men, they love and they respect. And usually if a woman loses respect for a guy, she is not gonna have the same amount of love for him because she doesn't even respect him. She doesn't even look up to him. She's kind of like, yeah, he is what he is, and he's like her punching bag. So after all, it is the woman that should be pursuing the guy after you get her. That's the main idea, all right? Not the other way around. And it's because that is more of a feminine energy. Feminine energy is about bonding. It's about connecting. It's about opening up to receive love. It's creative energy, right? The creating a baby, just any type of bonding and connecting and relationship labels. It is up to her, not the guy. And when I say guy, I'm talking about masculine energy. And so when it's her idea, it will never be wrong. Because all you have to do is just say yes or no. And all you have to do is just walk through the door because the door is open. And so guys that be like, well, I have to say something otherwise, it's like, well, think about that type of mindset. If you're saying to me, hey Mitchell, I have to say something, I have to ask her to be my girlfriend, because if I don't, what if another guy gets her? And it's like, well, you want to, even not that you will say this, but you'd be like, I dare you to find somebody better than me. I dare you. But then you can't really say that if you never worked on yourself. So it's gonna be, yes, you have to work on yourself, and you have to take action, and you have to build yourself up, not only physically, but you have to build yourself up mentally, and you also have to build yourself up spiritually so that you could have a reason to live. So this whole spiritual gathering of yourself, physically and mentally, it's so that you could connect with yourself and you already know exactly what you want. Like, this is what I'm set on this earth to do, and I'm gonna do exactly that. Things might change along the way, but for the meanwhile, this is my purpose and this is what I'm gonna be doing. And you focus on that. And that is a man that knows how to lead, because he knows which direction he wants. And then also he learns the dating and courting phase, and he understands how relationship works. And as a guy that understands relationships, men who understands women, especially in relationships, are loved by women. Women would love to be with a guy that is competent, but most men are incompetent, which causes them to back away. So just remember that if you do everything correctly, she wouldn't want to be with anybody else. And so let's see, here's a little disclaimer, right? So if you ask a group of women if they prefer to be chased, they will almost 100% of the time say yes, they would love to be chased. But what a woman thinks and what she emotionally responds to are two completely different things. Because women that are in her feminine, she wants to be pursued in the beginning, because that conveys confidence from a guy. Imagine a guy that walks up to you. He's like, hey, I'm interested in you, basically. I would love to take you out. I want to take you out on a date. I want to get to know you a little bit better. You're beautiful, but I mean, beauty's common. What I would really like to get to know is, how you think, how you are. Do we have similar goals and similar values? These are all important things to ask. So then, now, every time I hear guys that says, or every time I hear a guy tell me what the girl says, like, oh, I'm not ready to be in a relationship, or I'm too busy, things are moving too fast, it means that you're over pursuing. It means that you're trying to lock her down into a relationship before she's ready, and it is not her idea. And ever since I started learning this, no woman has ever said anything about, I'm too busy, I'm not ready to be in a relationship, things are moving too fast. Never said that to me. And the reason why is because I don't give them a reason to, because all I'm doing is hanging out, having fun. And if hanging out and having fun is great, then you hook up, and that's it. I'm not talking about relationships. I'm just there to have fun. And if she likes me enough, well, guess what? She's gonna want to be around me all the time. And the more she wants to be around me, she's like, damn, I don't want Mitchell to be with anybody else. Let me ask him a question. And then when she asked me like, hey, so what are we? And I just respond like, what do you mean? It's like, basically I'm kind of like squeezing out what she really wants, which is, well, I don't want you to see anybody else. I just want you to see me. I was like, so like exclusively? Like I can't talk to nobody, right? And just having some fun with it. It's like, because woman likes the idea that other women wants you. She just wants to be your number one. That's it. And she doesn't want to lose you, because losing you is like losing the quote unquote protector. And if you're this guy, you're competent, but then you also understand how relationship works, and you also understand what a woman says and how she emotionally responds to are completely different things, you're going to be way ahead of the game. And it's like, most guys, they don't understand that, especially with like guys in the red pill community, and all they do is complain about women on how, all modern women's like this, and this, they only go for status, and you just got to have a lot of money. It's like, these are all coping mechanisms. It's like, look, I'm not that tall, and I'm not the tallest dude, and I don't drive the fanciest car. It's okay, because ultimately it's who you are as a person. It's how you convey your confidence. So that's one of it. All right. So that just tells me that when a guy is saying, when she is saying all these type of things, like, oh, I'm too busy, I'm not ready, or I just got out of a relationship and things like that, it's like, well, you're pushing too much and you're pushing too hard, and all you have to do is take a step back and back away from that. And when you do, you're training yourself emotional, what was that word? You're regulating your emotions. It's not like, damn, I need to get her now. It's more like, you know what? Let it be her idea. And if she doesn't see my value, that's okay, because eventually somebody else will. But that means that you're continuing to work on yourself. But then you're also continuing to put yourself out there too. You're not just sitting at home hoping for somebody to knock on your door. And you're just doing the things that you have to do as a guy, as a masculine guy. Masculine energy, we grow through challenge. We go through challenge. So you're going to have challenges. You're going to have, and you have to have a mission and purpose in life, because otherwise, why else would anybody want to follow your lead? And if you don't have that leadership, well, right now that might be okay, but you just can't sit there and do nothing. You don't have to know exactly what you want to do, but you just can't sit there and do nothing, because you have to at least try to do something so that you can find that one thing that you want. And it's interesting enough, because if you listen to your own heart, your own feelings of what you want to do, somehow, some way, they kind of have an idea of what you already want. And if you keep going against that, let's just say you're at a profession that, yes, it might make you a lot of money, but deep down you're like, damn, I wish I would have done this at the very least. Well, it doesn't mean that you can't do that at all. It just means that there has to be some sort of compromise. Maybe you're making a lot of money financially, you're very stable, but there's another area of your life you're like, damn, I wish I could do this a little bit more. Well, spend a little bit more time. You gotta have to make some sort of sacrifices, and maybe means making slightly a little less, which also means maybe you can't be going out like that all the time, and then you get to do the things that you enjoy most. It has to be some sort of compromise, but it means that you're focusing on the things that you do, and that is how you become excited about life. And it's really hard to get people to be excited about you if you're not even excited about life yourself. So you want to be doing exciting things and having fun and taking care of yourself. That being said, that is the end of the show, the Express Show. So I have the summary. It has 2 slides, which is haste makes waste. The whole idea is to go slightly slower than she does. That way, it will always be her idea. Women that likes you, they tend to be a little bit more aggressive when you're not moving as fast. They tend to be. They will ask you like, oh, are you seeing anybody? Like that. Gotten a few of those in my life, right? Oh, so you seen anybody, right? So no breakup is mutual. It's usually one-sided. And any guy that tells me, "Oh, it's a mutual breakup," it's like, "No, I know you hiding some. Like, she broke it off, didn't she?" He's like, "Yeah, she did." That's all right. Just be honest with me. So, if it's her idea, she broke it off with you. Well, she needs to fix it, and your mindset needs to be, "Well, I'm open to the idea of you convincing me back into your life, but I'm not gonna go and court you and date you until you basically show me enough that you want me back in your life, that you made a mistake." And people make mistakes. That's okay. But you got to show me that you got to earn that back, because I tried to make things work. And you're saying that I don't want to make it work right now, when I told you that I didn't want you to leave. And so, yeah, you got to work your way back into my life. And that's valuing yourself, and that's loving yourself. Or you're willing to walk away and never look back. That's it. And that is what a high value man would do. Okay, I tend to not like to use high value and low value, because there's different scales for different things. But yeah, high value men, they love and value themselves, and they walk away. They're not going to be bitter about that, but they're also going to be willing to walk away and be like, yo, eventually somebody else is going to want this, and if you don't want it, that's okay. That being said, that's the end of the show. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I catch you guys in the next live. All right, peace.